English translation 441st contact. Saturday, 3rd February 2007, 0002 hours.
Here I am, Eduard, as promised. Be greeted and congratulated on your 70th birthday. You look a bit tired and worn out.
Yes, you can say that. I did not get enough sleep last night, and I am a little tired, but I am fine, and it does not matter. It was also a bit exhausting today, and besides that we had our Aquarius dinner tonight, born in February in Freihof, so I could not lie down for an hour, which I usually do. Therefore, I'm a bit exhausted. But now likewise be greeted, my friend, and be welcome. Actually, I thought that you would come sometime after the correction work in the afternoon.
I really wanted to, but I have to do some important things in the next 24 hours that cannot be delayed. For this reason, Anjana will do the correction work, but after that she will have to go back to her job and will not be able to visit you personally after the correction work. However, she wants to visit you in the near future because she wants to discuss some personal matters with you.
You are always so busy, and lately also in a hurry.
Regarding that of being constantly busy, you are in no wise inferior. As far as haste is concerned, it is sometimes necessary, especially lately, because we have things to do that cannot be delayed.
I do not blame you, because I know very well that some things take time. But what if I could ask you right now for some predictions?
Of course. Firstly, the bird epidemic will be back in the news again in England, where the disease has already broken out in a turkey farm. Then there will be talk of major flooding in Indonesia, with Jakarta in particular being affected to a large extent. Then it can be said that the fighting of the U.S. military and the insurgents in Iraq is increasing on a large scale, whereby the total number of deaths in the coming weeks, already calculated today, will rise into the thousands. Unfortunately, there are also negative aspects to my statement from the 15th of January in connection with the awakening of the UN with regard to climate protection. Because the first wave of awakening is already beginning to flatten out again, and consequently, no decisive action is being taken against this evil. The leaders of the UN and the governments of the states, who secretly read your bulletins on the internet and find out the real truth in this way, approach the whole thing far too laxly, not even taking into account the main factor of overpopulation, climate change, and climate destruction, and all other evils on the earth. Behind this lies both a proper portion of cowardice and fear and incomprehension, because the whole thing cannot be properly assessed. It is pleasing to say that in the next few days the hostile Palestinian groups Fatah and Hamas will agree on a unified government, if a decision is taken in Saudi Arabia and Mecca respectively. But this leads to fears that in the near future attacks by Palestinians in Israel will increase again, and thus also Israeli revenge campaigns. These are the extraordinary facts I have to mention regarding predictions until the 9th of February. After that, I will visit you again and give you new predictions if there are any. On the 10th of February, I will come back myself to attend to the correction work with you and Bernadette.
Around 22 years have now passed since you and Quetzal told me privately that you had comprehensive cognitions in regard to terrestrial UFOs and the massacre of animals and alleged abductions, which were disguised as the shoddy efforts of extraterrestrials. You said thereby that, in regard to this, involved in these machinations are governments, the military, as well as industrial businesses and powerful ones of finance, which constitute a special group, to which still smaller groups are also related. At that time you promised that you would officially explain more about that when the time is ripe for that. Can one now speak publicly about that?
Yes, that was said. And the time is also ripe for that. With the named group, it concerns a worldwide branching from governments, the military, industrial groups, secret services, paramilitary, and powerful ones of finance, as you correctly said. Those in the know and contributors are only certain elements of the same, who profit greatly, financially and power politically, from their secret machinations, for which reason the entire powers of the government, military and industrial as well as finance, are not involved in the situation and are also not informed in regard to this. The group is not organized, as such, rather is only a loose collection, whereby their interests, however, have a common form, which already since the 1920s was designed to operate a continuous, ingenious, large-scale disinformation campaign regarding the question of extraterrestrial life. The group, which is split into many small groups, has many kinds of technical possibilities at their disposal, which they employ for their evil and human misleading purposes. That started with technologies of electromagnetism to do with precision electronics and computer engineering, up to and including apparatuses through which brainwashing and the programming and altering of consciousness is evoked in humans. They even have back-engineered beam ships at their disposal, whereby in certain contexts, even anti-gravity finds application. It has also occurred many times that premeditated abductions of Earth humans by extraterrestrials and the massacre of animals has been and is faked by this group. That stands partly also in connection with those illusionary and schizophrenic visions and apparent experiences of those who believe that they have had or have these kinds of real experiences. Also, wrong information and falsified pictures of alleged extraterrestrial flying devices is strategically circulated worldwide, whereby, according to our investigations, about 98% of all false pictures, films, videos, and false information is directed at moving the Earth humans to angst and terror of extraterrestrials and to engender hate and thoughts of revenge in the Earth humans. Therefore, in this form, angst, terror, and hate is stirred up against all life foreign to Earth. Especially films for cinema and television serve this purpose, as also, however, do many books which are constructed on lies and untruths and are written partly by experts in psychology and psychiatry. All this nonsense sells very well to the Earth humans because many on the search for the effective truth trust and believe this false information and these films and pictures. Angst, horror, terror, hate, and revenge always sell well, while the truth appears too banal and therefore appears uninteresting as well as not worth knowing. Only the fantastic and unreal find a place in the interests of Earth humans. However, precisely that is the launching platform for the infamous machinations of the worldwide group, because, through disinformation and fear-mongering in regard to the malicious foreigners to Earth, the entire group, which reaches right around the world, derives horrendous advantages of a financial, governmental power, military power, as well as an economic form. The entire war, electronics, and weapons industries and so forth thereby gain an enormous boost. Yet in the worldwide group, secret paramilitary units also exist as smaller groups, which carry out the same kind of operations which, however, are mostly controlled by the worldwide group. In particular, these small groups carry out premeditated abductions which are credited ostensibly to the extraterrestrials, as well as, however, also simulated appearances of alleged extraterrestrial flying craft, which are then collectively declared to be extraterrestrial UFO appearances and are often observed, photographed, and filmed by many people. Thereby the illusion of an ostensible extraterrestrial abduction or observation of extraterrestrial flying devices is evoked. What is further to say about this is that in this worldwide group, with all the small groups who partly also work autonomously, there exists a proper UFO trade and a subculture in regard to animal massacres and abductions and so forth. The entire thing is secretively financed through governments, the military, industrial groups, and financially powerful ones who are interested in angst, terror, and hate being stirred up to their highest forms in regard to the alleged evil extraterrestrial foreigners, because they can thereby gain gigantic financial profit and advantage. It is on this basis that, in every regard, from this group, only stories, cinema and television films, and observations of UFOs will be accepted and profitably exploited, which are based on everything negative and, as is becoming proverbial with the Earth humans, on the malicious and aggressive nature of the extraterrestrials. Only that which evokes angst, fear, and terror, as well as engenders hate and revenge, is accepted by the group and exploited worldwide in order to obtain enormous profit with it. Conversely, in addition to that, everything which is good and positive is vehemently slandered and is designated as a swindle, lie, and deception, as is the case with you and us, since, in keeping with the interests of the group, we are not permitted to exist and you are not permitted to be in contact with us. Rather, you must be a liar and a fraud. So, from the group and their small groups, the Earth humans will be served up deliberately false and fear-inducing stories in regard to extraterrestrial UFOs and foreigners to Earth and their alleged horrifying machinations like, for example, painful examination contacts and animal massacres, along with falsified encounters with alleged extraterrestrials. Along with profit, the whole matter also serves deeply based psychological propaganda in order to insult forms of life who are foreign to the Earth and to brand them as malicious beings and to create angst, hate, revenge, and hysteria, because great financial means will be thereby freed up, which serve research for the production of innovative and futuristic weapons of all kinds. Therefore, in these Earth humans, in regard to the extraterrestrial, an enemy will be psychologically, deliberately created which does not exist and which will, in a manner, be made into a malicious being such that the Earth humans, in their angst, will be driven to freeing up horrendous sums in order to therewith manufacture weapons against the alleged malicious invaders. Also, with these acts, various groups play off against each other, which, however, is part of a well-thought-out plan which is carried out and implemented by secret services. Psychoterrorists, espionage groups, and treacherous disinformation agents, and which is underpinned by false information regarding UFOs and alleged extraterrestrials. Additionally, belonging to this plan is the invention of an imaginary extraterrestrial enemy, as well as a danger emerging from this. An enemy and a danger which, naturally, will have to be fought. The infamy is thereby that, first of all, everything is made ridiculous because the concerned abductees, examinees, chance contactees, and UFO observers can provide no evidence for their experiences which would withstand a real examination. Then comes the second fact, which exists in the fact that angst, terror, hate, and feelings of revenge are produced in the Earth humans, whereby then the weapons industry can be built up and indeed, especially in regard to futuristic weapons, of which the normal Earth humans have no idea and of which they do not ever dare to dream. The entirety is thereby a well-thought-out psychological network on which the progress of the entire weapons industry and the power of the military Of the federal leadership, the finance sharks and the industry businesses, as well as the secret services, can be built up ever further. To this end, angst, terror, hysteria, hate, and revenge is sown in regard to all foreigners from outer space. So the Earth humans become duped and financially exploited by the responsible ones of this dangerous group and their small groups, and are deliberately driven to abhor and to hate the extraterrestrial foreigners. Corresponding cinema and television films serve as especially suitable means for that. The foreigner angst, respectively, alien angst, which is thereby produced, surpasses all normal angst, and the responsible ones of the group know that precisely, for which reason they can also thereby calculate that all necessary finances flow to them, which they require for their weapon research, their weapon manufacture, their leading of wars, and desires for power, as well as for unrealistic cinema and TV films which demonize the Earth strangers. The creation of a supposed threat from extraterrestrials as well as the alien angst is, for them, a profitable matter which is operated under the shabby cloak of a federal, respectively, country security and of world peace. For the entire machinations of the group, the meanest machinations are quite good enough, which, as said, were already operating since the 1920s, and to that also belong highly developed electronic weapons systems, futuristic flying discs, Earth humans who are hypnotically and surgically, as well as in a consciousness-based manner converted to be like robots, whereby some have an appearance like the beings which are called the Little Greys. On one hand, there is the dim-witted paradox that the extraterrestrial flying devices are denied, and the Earth foreigners are made ridiculous or made out to be monsters by means of psychological propaganda, while, on the other hand, a financial exploitation of the peoples results through the inciting of angst, terror, hate, and revenge, and indeed thereby in that a simulation results in regard to a supposed threat from extraterrestrials. A paradox without compare, to which the question must be put. How far are the Earth humans imbued in their rationality and in their intellect that they do not recognize this paradox? The entire prearranged game of the group and their small groups, as already said elsewhere, also includes faked encounters with alleged extraterrestrials, whereby these are truly nothing other than normal Earth humans, or those who have been transformed into aliens. In order, then, to affirm the improvised encounters with those foreign to Earth, psychologists and other experts are pulled in into whom the wildest stories are hammered for so long until they believe the entire swindle and nonsense and employ verifiable and genuine analyses which are recorded and published in books and documentation as well as in cinema and TV films. And since, as a rule, the supposed extraterrestrials are described as horrible villains, exactly according to the plan of the group and their small groups, the picture of the extraterrestrial threat is powerfully incited. Thereby, not only is the slandering in regard to the real strangers to Earth always more exaggerated, as also more and more finances flow from the dumb and dim-witted into the cash box of those who, as a result of the entire web of lies and slander, thereby come by the means to reach their criminal goals. A certain part of the group is also addicted to Christian sectarianism and the alleged Judgment Day, in such a wise that the hope is centered on a malignant invasion of the Earth by extraterrestrials, thus making the prophesied Armageddon or Harmageddon a reality, in which Jesus Christ will celebrate his official return and God the Father will exercise his judgment. Their delusion is therefore bound with a biblical end of the world, which, as they believe, rests on the terrible badness of the Earth humans. And in order to accelerate this divine judgment, as well as the return of Christ, They do everything in order to clear the path for that. The monstrous power of the worldwide group and their small groups, as well as the religious fanaticism, together with the cultic maintaining of the secret of the entire underhanded, degenerated, and deceptive, as well as criminal and felonious machinations, lead to malignant effects which could not be worse. These are the facts which I have to name in regard to your question.
From your words it comes forth that that is also still so today.
Yes, that is really so, and it will also still remain so in the future. Now, however, it is again time for me. If you have any more questions, you will have to reschedule it for next Saturday. Goodbye, dear friend. Go to bed now and see you next Saturday. Sachlomi.
Take care, my friend. See you next Saturday.